I am not against whites, but a white must accept that in these countries the majority are black, and therefore it must be majority rule. And if they are to accept majority rule, I am sure those Africans will live with them in peace and harmony.
President Field Marshal Iddi Amin Dada, conqueror of the British Empire, plus many other names by which he was known, has been referred to by many as the worst modern-day dictator because of ignorance or Western propaganda. In this video, we reveal who the real Iddi Amin Dada was. You have probably heard all the bad things they claim he did. We love Africa, and we will not focus on the bad energy and lies. We reveal the Pan-African leader he was. If you are new here, welcome to Africa Digital Library, the home for African content and inspiration. Kindly support the channel by subscribing, sharing the video and commenting, letting us know your thought about Idi Amin. So, let's get started. Idi Amin Dada was and remains the only Ugandan president who had no bank account outside Uganda. The president had only one bank account in the Uganda Development Bank. That was known to the public.
One of the poor leader in the world, and my intention is to work for my people, but not for me. That is the reason why you know that if you check all banks all over the world, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, in the United States of America, you will never find account belong to me, because I work for the people of Uganda.
Amin was a nationalist who had Uganda at heart. Under his watch, Uganda was able to construct a number of national assets, including 8 permanent embassy houses outside Uganda. The famous Uganda House in London, where the Consulate of Uganda in London is today housed, was one of his brainworks. Unfortunately, those who came in his shoes sold out these national assets. Being the soldier he was, Amin preferred simplicity, always moving around the country in his jeep with limited escort. A total contrast of the so-called democratic leaders Uganda has today. Between 1951 to 1960, President Iddi Amin Dada was the light heavyweight boxing champion. Being a sportsman himself, Amin invested in sports through different avenues, providing financial and morale support. In fact, during his tenure, John Akibua won the first ever gold medal in the history of Uganda in 1972 in the Munich Olympics, and the Uganda national football team qualified for Africa Cup of Nations in 1978. Since then, the Cranes have never been any lucky. During his regime, corruption had no room of existence. The corrupt were either detained or executed. Additionally, the office of the president had a hotline that could be called at any time, and Idi Amin himself answered that line. Improve service delivery to the local citizens. He always mixed with the common people and made impromptu visits to government offices at grassroots levels, replacing absentee officials and detaining culprits. He accused them of abusing the taxpayers' money that were paying their salaries.
If I go sometime even in the Ministry of Defense, I will not find even some commanders there in their offices. I know this. I've been telephoning several times, checking with them, I can't find. If I found you not to attend cabinet 3 times without reason, you are out of government.
During his rule, the government of Uganda owned many enterprises, like the Uganda Electricity Board, Uganda Development Bank, Uganda Coffee Marketing Board, Commercial Bank of Uganda, Uganda Food and Beverage Company, Pepsi-Cola, and many others. This were, however, sold by the government of President Yoweri Museveni, and the money shared amongst a few corrupt officials. Idi Amin Dada was the first president to encourage women empowerment in Uganda.
Duty of the woman is the housewoman. He knows how to keep house very well. If he can do that, let me make first examination, appoint women to be the managers of hotel. If he's well educated, he has got that brain, he's determined, he can look after the hotel very well. I want to see a woman, international hotel, very big one. Must be woman Ugandans, and I know they can do it. And you as a minister, you must back them completely. If you find any man trying to not to obey the order and everything, you can punish that person.
To him, if women were able to manage homes, they needed to be appointed hotel managers. During Amin's government, Uganda's public infrastructure took shape. He built the new Mulago National Referral Hospital, the National Conference Centre, now Serena Hotel, and he also built the first satellite in Mpoma Mukono to connect Uganda to the world. Plus, a number of military barracks. In fact, most of the infrastructural developments in Uganda today are mere renovations and upgrades of what Iddi Amin Dada did. One of the most misinterpreted scenarios in Uganda's history was Idi Amin's decision of expel Asians from Uganda.
Since independent, actually Uganda is not yet independent, I will say that. Even when the British handed over on the 9th of October 1962, the Uganda still not yet independent. Uganda will be independent after this, my decision, after I want to see that the whole Kampala street is not full of Indians. It must be proper black, and administration in those shops is run by the Ugandans.
The motivation behind Amin's decision was not one backed by selfishness, rather it was backed by the desire to have Ugandans control the economy, a pure typical move by a nationalist leader. Today, the streets of Kampala, like any African country, have been taken over by Asian businessmen and women doing even the smallest of jobs that should otherwise be reserved for the local citizens. Amin's nationalistic spirit was not only limited to Uganda. He had a deeper passion for the liberation of Africa in entirety. As a chairman of the OAU, he called upon South Africa to be freed and voluntarily freed, and that if no such voluntary action was taken, African states needed to mobilize their armies for a full-scale offensive.
Rhodesia and South Africa cannot accept immediate independence to the majority rule in these two countries, including Namibia. Then we must really face them militarily, because we are capable of fighting against them, of liberating that country.
So how does a man this patriotic come to be termed one of the worst dictators of modern-day history? It is simple. The Western world had known Amin as a brutal soldier whom they believed could do any dirty work for them, the way he had demonstrated his abilities during the Mau Mau rebellions and other deployments while serving under the King's Rifle Army. However, when Amin chose the path of African independence and liberalization, the Western world was greatly angered. They chose to use Western media like BBC and CNN to destroy Amin's image. Unfortunately, the African communities were not yet well educated to evaluate the Western propaganda. Amin never sympathized with Western spies. In 1975, a British writer, Dennis Hills, was charged and sentenced to death by firing squad for spying. It took generals from UK to convince Amin in vain.
I told General Blair, if Foreign Secretary is not here within 10 days from tomorrow with the recommendations and advice I got from the members of the Defense Council who are right now before me, we will then consider when to execute him by the firing squad. This is the recommendation by the Defense Council. But General Blair, he was trying to give me order. He has no power in Uganda.
and the British imperialism is over in Uganda.
With only one demand, that the Secretary of State needed to arrive at Amin's palace in 10 days. A rare show of supremacy. Lastly, we need to understand that at that time, the means of distribution of information were limited. Unlike today, where social media transmits every occurrence quickly and accurately. In fact, Amin would execute one person and the news would travel by word of mouth from one place to another. This made different place receive the same news at different times, making a one-man executed resonate to the world as if it were a 1,000 people. In fact, the so-called democratically elected leaders of Africa today are killing more of their citizens than Amin killed. But because they are coating with Western powers, their names are never featured as dictators. We hope this video helps you understand Iddi Amin Dada better. Please remember to share this video, like, subscribe, and do not forget to comment, letting us know what you think about Idi Amin after watching this video.